reading and all that jazz. But what?
Oh no. Oh no, that's gonna be a problem. Like, what do you do if you don't have a personality? I don't think I was ever programmed with one. How am I supposed to do a tag about a personality without a personality? Wow, it looks really close to my room. Interesting. Why is that? Oh, no reason. No. I want to know. So, what brings you here? Oh, yeah, I need like a personality so I can do this like booktuber tag. Alright. Cool. Cool. Yeah. This should work. If you notice, I am standing, which is a callback to my last video. Look, I have, oh my gosh, legs. We're just gonna fall over things. Hello, Bookaboos. Here on this paper, I have it certified that I have a personality, which means I can do the Myers-Briggs book tag. Alright, let's jump into it. Coming in first, as no surprise to anyone except for your girl under the cover, is extrovert. Now, while being alone is pretty dandy, like you want to share some books with some people. So the first one is 3 books that you think that should be read and shared and talked about and all that hoopla. Yeah. Alright, so we already know, given my vast collection of videos on the Schwabs and how I mentioned in like every other video, I love Anne of the Green Gables. I don't know why I said Anne of the Green Gables. I don't know what's going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about my 3 favorite books that are not those. First in the list is obviously Challenger Deep. I love this book. But also what I think is really cool is I see a lot of books talking about anxiety and depression, and while those books are very important, I don't see a lot of books talking about like schizophrenia in a way that doesn't like downplay it. I see a lot of books that do schizophrenia in a way that like honestly is gross. I see a lot of books that do the whole thing where they're schizophrenic because they see magical lands and that's why they're schizophrenic, and then the rest of the book they're normal. And I like honestly loathe that. I really loathe that because like schizophrenia doesn't just go away because you go to some magical land. So I actually went and heard him talk about this and about how his like son actually was the inspiration for this, and he even like peer reviewed it. So like it's very an authentic experience of someone who's actually had schizophrenia, and so I thought it was a really good book diving into that, and also like diving into like the difference between what is just in the head and what is reality. Also, it's got like these cool like let me see if I can find one. I'm also a sucker for books that have like drawings in them. I don't know what to say. If a book has a drawing in it, I normally tend to love it. Not saying that it makes it a good book, but that's just an additional bonus to it. The next book that I think people should talk about more often is Mosquito Land. I honestly love this book, and it was one of the few books that when I was first kind of like discovering that I actually had mental illness, it was one of the first books that I read that kind of like put it into words how I was feeling, and the best line I love in it, absolutely out of all of it, is a thing is not a thing unless it's said out loud. And it sounds like something very simple and something like, yeah, that like makes sense. But when you think about it and when you're trying to like keep it in and bottle things up, like it makes an impact on you, you know? But this book is more than just about mental illness, obviously. It's about like kind of a coming of age, and also you've got a road trip going along with too. And I'm honestly a big fan of the road trip genre, just mainly because I love wacky hijinks galore. So yeah, the last one up on the favorites that people should read is Bone Gap. And I don't know if like there's a big surge of it because I didn't read it when it came out. I just recently read it this year or listened to it on audiobook, whichever one you prefer to say. But I fell in love with it. It's not something that you would normally think as a mental health book, but it actually kind of in a way it is. It brings out something that you normally wouldn't think to be talked about, like, because he's not technically neurotypical, and it was something that I've never really seen done in a book before, and I don't want to give away too much because it's kind of like a learning process as you go. So basically the premise of the story is this boy is trying to find his missing, like, future sister-in-law? Is that the right word for it? If they weren't even engaged, but he was dating his brother, like, his brother's girlfriend. That's the best way to do it. His brother's girlfriend basically goes missing. She was loved by the whole town, but one day she just goes missing, and everybody just kind of was like, of course, she just came in here out of nowhere. And he's like, no. That's not what happened. So you get some rep that's not like neurotypical, but you also get some like whimsy and magical realism. It's pretty good. I 10 out of 10 would recommend. I loved it. So next up on the list is we got Sensing. So a book can have good ideas, but execution is killer. So basically this is a book that I just couldn't like suspend like my belief for. Things like plot and all that. And obviously the thing I think about the most is Warcross. And let me tell you why. There's a lot of nitpicky reasons I don't like the book. Like, nitpicky reasons that, like, I probably shouldn't be reading this book. But there's just a lot of things where I'm just like, they favored romance over the actual idea of sci-fi. And so the sci-fi lacked. It lacked so much. The sci-fi was, like, barely touched, untethered. And it just, I was like, no. But the romance was like, and everybody who was like, I was shocked, that twist at the end, I was like, I called that from like the middle of the book. I was like, hey, this thing is gonna happen. And then when it happened, I was like, oh, this thing happened. Basically to say I wasn't impressed. I also just hate the whole idea that like, they're teenagers, but yet they're smarter than anybody. And like, yeah, like, there's a chance you could be, like, the worst coder, but, like, the way she does coding things, like, it just doesn't make sense. Also, this is a very, very small, tiny tidbit. Do you see this hair color? Do you see this hair color? This hair color ain't real. I bought it. So, what I'm saying is, this girl is practically poor for half, like, not even half. She's, like, living on diamond shells. Yet, this girl's got, like, rainbow-ass hair. So I got short-ass hair, but this costs money. This costs money. This costs money! And yet she's got, like, hair dyed, like, rainbow. Do you know how much that shit cost to get your hair rainbow dyed? Do you know how much shit that would, because, like, the way she describes it, it's very beautiful. It's very beautiful looking. So obviously, that was not a home job. Because, let's be honest, most home jobs suck. I'm not saying everybody sucks, but I'm just saying the majority of people, it sucks because they have no idea what they're doing at all. This girl, starving basically all the time, living on her last leg, doesn't know when her next meal's gonna come, and yet she's got rainbow ass hair. If I had to choose between eating and my red hair, Lord knows I'm gonna go back to being a blonde. I guess I just have to suck it up, Buttercup, and be the stupid blonde that I am. Ooh. But, like, that's a small nitpick. I just don't like that book. I really don't. I just think about it sometimes. I think about how great it could have been, and then I'm just, like, disappointed. Now, if you want, like, I know this is not, like, part of the tag, because I just went on a whole rant, but if you want a really good sci-fi that has Asian representation, go and read Want by Sydney Pon. that's a good sci-fi. I read that, I was like, oh yes, and like it's got your little bit of romance in it. It's got a little bit of romance in it that if you need the romance to help you push it along, I don't need romance to get me going, but if that's what you need, there's still romance in that. But it's a good sci-fi. Oh my gosh, it is a good sci-fi. So we just need to move on to the next one because I am just so frustrated by this. Ugh. So the next one is thinking nonfiction can be tedious, but sometimes it shows bits of the real world. So this one is basically, what book do I look for, like when I need to get real advice in the real world? All the Agents and the Saints. This is a book about like the borderlands. So not just the borderlands of Mexico, but also the borderlands of Canada. Things that you don't really think about, like the fact that Native Americans, like some of them live in Canada, but also some of them live in America. And this is actually this was actually written by a reporter who basically traveled along the borderlands of both Mexico and Canada to see, basically kind of get the story and like the struggle. And I don't know if I necessarily use this on a daily basis, but I like to think about this often when we talk about things politically, because it kind of makes me think about like someone's situation beyond my own. Like the Canadian Native Americans are afraid to get their citizenship because they could lose the reservations that is part of that. And like oftentimes they have to get checked just to go across the border when they like are from there. And so like there's just, I don't know if I necessarily think about this like for life answers, but I think about it when I think about like how I want to discuss politics and stuff. And I think it's just a really good examination of basically how to think about people especially in this political divide. And I've been thinking about this book a lot. Like I read this book, I think I read this book when it came out, like, but I've been thinking about it a lot recently since the whole like border crisis and kids in cages stuff. I've really been thinking about this and thinking about like what does it mean to be like cross borders. And yeah, I'm sorry I got really political in this video, but like sometimes when you read about nonfiction you get the truth. Ooh. The next up is judging. All work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy. Okay, but it leads to chaotic and disorder. So like, what is my planning regimen? What is going on in my life? And to be honest, even though I script out most of these videos and I try really hard to do things, I don't have a plan for life. Oh, wait 1 second, I forgot I just made coffee at the beginning of this video and I can't let that get cold. Oh, oh. Okay, where was I? So we're talking about how I balance my life and how do I structure it. Well, I don't structure it, but how do I balance it? I guess I just set limits. Where are you going, Boo? But yeah, I just set limits for myself and I yell at my dogs. Did that answer the question? We're gonna go with yeah. So we are on the last leg of this fun adventure. That's what we're calling it, right? A fun adventure. Yay. Oh, the last one is the whole thing exciting. It is the ESTJ, or otherwise known as the supervisor. And if anybody knows, I should not be allowed to supervise anything. But we're gonna get to the question. The thing is, it says that I can always be trusted to get it done, but also to make sure it's done right. Which ain't too far from the truth. Cause like, look at this perfection. Ooh, 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 ooh. That's beauty and grace right there. What more can you ask for? So a lot of books are popular, but not all will meet my expectations. So basically what I gotta do is pick a book from my shelf and tell you that if you read this popular book, you will probably like one of these. So, here is your Under the Cape recommendation.
2 hours later.
My recommendation, since I'm on the hype train of The Cruel Prince, if you like the whole idea of fairies, then obviously you should try out The Iron Daughter. Whoa, and it's like a series. I mean, there are now books in between the books, and I have to reread these if I'm gonna read those books, but let's be honest, I don't got time to reread things, especially when I have so many books that I need to read for the first time. But if you like fairies, and you like A Midsummer's Night Dream, which I'm gonna say is popular, it's one of Shakespeare's more popular plays. I'm gonna quote that. If you think I'm wrong, you're wrong, obviously. But if you're about the fairy life, and you like A Midsummer's Night Dream, and you like Puck, if you love Puck, give this a try. It's basically about this girl who is half fae because Oberon is a hoe and he be hoeing around in the human world and he gets himself a half fae, half human baby. And this is the adventure of her finding out that she's not only fae, but also having to save her brother from being a changeling. Is that the word for it? I think that is the word for it. But there's like at least 3 books, and then there's like other books if you like those. So I mean, I just gave you like not only one recommendation, you got like a whole flurry of them. So if you like that fairy life, snatch this book up. So today's video is brought to you by a Snow White reader who tagged me and forced me to be creative. Thank you. Alright, I will leave whoever I'm gonna tag down in the diddly-doos below, but that's all I got booked. I gotta go back to the therapist. Apparently, like, she has an issue with this whole, like, not having a personality thing, but I will catch you guys in the next video.